portal is opening now. The orifice is dilated, and we can now pass in, traverse the veil from the real to the unreal. Put it in.
Put it in. What do you think of the new cockpit, Richie?
Looks good. Looks really, really good. Are you comfortable in there?
Yo, the thing is, like, you can't really tell what a room is gonna feel like until you start moving some more personable shit in it. And so far, it's feeling good, man.
I can't wait for people to start telling you you've sold out because your room has exposed beams, you bougie ass, fake ass.
So it's one of those things, right, where it's like having exposed beams mean it's a fancy thing or it's a not fancy thing, or it was a not fancy thing that was remarketed to be fancy.
That's it. It's a not
That's
fancy
what I'm
thing.
thinking.
Yeah, it's just a clever renovation technique. But if I fall for it, I love it. I love an exposed beam. I love exposed brickwork. I'm susceptible to this shit. It's actually just shoddy workmanship from an old building, but I like it.
Dude, for real, like if you go to the hipster cafes, like they have the exposed concrete walls with like, or now they're actually selling wallpaper that looks like exposed concrete, like your old Airbnb, dude.
That's it. That's it. Just so you can look like they didn't finish building the house properly, because that makes it more exclusive.
Yes.
Huh?
Dude, I've told you this multiple times, right? The cafe out here, that's super, super hipster, and it's like a hot spot for them. All them clear lens, bearded, flannel wearing, Doc Martin wearing individuals. Like this place is pure white, like entirely just minimal. And then they have these pallet chairs, literally just blocks of wood with no backrest, and these planters that are made of concrete. And they have, and here's a selling point, there's no Wi-Fi, no cash, and then there's, what was the last one? It was 3 things. I don't remember, but just completely minimal.
Well, the other thing that they could do is say the service is really bad. There are restaurants in America now that they pitch on the idea that the service is rude and bad. So it's ideology at its purest.
Yeah.
You can turn anything into a sellable marketing point. We have a podcast that we do. It's really dull and self-indulgent. Yeah, but that's the point, and you have to like get it. Otherwise, you don't get it.
Exactly. I remember the cafe doesn't have no sugar. It doesn't have sugar.
Oh, I hate it. I was down for everything, but they can go fuck themselves.
Like, you know,
pompous asses.
Dude, I think the word pretentious is so entirely overused and it doesn't really have a meaning. But if I ever had to use it, it's when you start a cafe with no sugar. Go flip yourself.
Yeah, seriously. And make sure it hurts. Do it roughly. There's certain points where you go, okay, that's beyond the pale now. I was looking at TikTok before because everybody tells me, you got to be on TikTok, and I'm like, it really just looks like a place where young people do silly dances,
right? And
they're like, no, there's therapists on there, there's life coaches and stuff. So I was looking at like life coaches and therapists, and I tuned in live to a woman using I think it's like a foundation applicating brush on a microphone and whispering.
Yes, at ASMR.
I didn't get the dog food today. I'm really sorry. And then she's taking a sip of a drink, and she drinks by the mic. And it was like gloink. I can hear her esophagus just pulling the liquid in. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is what we're using technology for?
Dude, people sleep to that, man.
Wow. It's it really, really freaked me out. Should I tell people why we're separate?
Dude, I don't even know why we are. What's going on with you, man?
I'm sick. This is Lemsip. This is a tissue for my nose. I'm sick.
With what?
You know.
Did you really get it?
At first I was saying no, but I actually said today, like, I'm going to have to apply for the PCR test because I'm thinking of going back to the UK at the end of the month. And the reason why is because flu symptoms came and then they went inside of 16 hours, and what was left was really strong fatigue. And it is possible it's something, it could just be a normal cold. It could be adrenal fatigue from I don't know, something else like stress or overwork. But you know, I told you, I think I got it in February of last year.
Yeah.
This was the major, well, no, the hacking cough was the major symptom, but really, really strong fatigue was a marker of it. So if I go out and do something for like 2 hours, I will like come back and fall into a coma sleep for an hour. So 2 hours of work is an hour of sleep right now. So I'm like, that's why I do have some symptoms. My nose is a bit runny and I'm a bit sneezy, but I was like, there's no way I'm sitting in a room with you. There's fucking no way.
Okay.
Man. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, dude, it's interesting because I can't even tell if it's that too on my end because I feel good now, but
yeah.
I've been feeling very fatigued recently. I don't know if it's just from the stress of dealing with the entire situation or
I don't want to make you a hypochondriac, and I would always say just assume that you're healthy, but you could look at it this way, like you're 15 years younger or 13 years younger than me. So
okay.
and I smoked for like 5 years when I was a kid. So there's the age factor, and then there's the fact that I smoked. So you know the symptoms wouldn't show up as necessarily the same. Don't want to turn you into a hypochondriac, mate, but it could be. It could be if you're finding that you're just super sleepy, it could be that.
I'm not exactly sleepy, but it's usually the first fucking 4 hours of the day. I just feel like sludge, but I don't necessarily feel sick though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could just be depression, lockdown depression,
No, for
absence of
sure.
sunlight and stimulation and liberty.
So it has to deal with COVID regardless.
Yeah. No, either way, because say if I've got like a cold and it's just a normal cold, it would be because of the conditions in which I'm training. I didn't tell you. In the gym the other day, they switched off all the lights and turned off the music because a cop van showed up outside. I was in the middle of a set. Everybody's in the middle of a set, and there was light music on, and the music goes vroom, and then the lights go off, and everybody just no like instructions. We'll just sink to the floor like that.
And then what happened? It was all good.
The cops circle around, and then they went away. And I'm like, you guys are crazy if you think the fucking cops don't know that we're doing this. There's just no way. I think there's cops training in there. There's no way that the locals don't know. I mean, you've got like all these juice heads walk around with shopping bags, like because it's a proper bodybuilding gym. So there's like massive men and women just nipping towards the supermarket, and right before they go through the supermarket doors, they skip up a little sideway. I'm like, come on, everybody knows that. There's no way they don't know. There's no way. I mean, actually, I think what it was the van was on the way to the protest. They were just picking up some donuts.
The image of what you painted when you first told me about this gym is so hilarious. The fact that no one's gotten caught because it's so cartoonish what you're explaining, dude.
And they're literally, it's like adults playing a kid's game. Like, the police are here.
Yeah.
I play this with my nephews. Like, hide behind the couch. It's like everybody, literally, this does nothing. You may as well just get caught in dignity in the light standing up. But of course, like, everybody squats down and we all wait. So I just did it as well because I was like,
but that's fine. Way more fun. That super fun. That sounds like a blast, though. Come on.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun, and the whole thing now is kind of fun. But because of the way that you're having to train in that environment, that also can be an influence on whether you pick stuff up, just because of the way the spacing is and everything else. Mm-hmm. And stress, man. It's like it's a really weird life. Like, I think people in different countries, I looked up yesterday through a gym website which countries are open and which are closed, and I think we're all assuming that our experience in our country is the same as the other countries across Europe. But literally every country in Europe is doing something different at this point. Really? Yeah. So everybody who's tuning in, if you're from Serbia, if you're from Greece, if you're from America's its own thing, Canada's its own thing, and it's strange because we all come to social media and then we all espouse these opinions about lockdowns. But my God, my lockdown is not your lockdown. Right. Like, her lockdown is not his lockdown. And how could you know? Like, I have the time and I'm interested to be plugged in, and even I wasn't sure. But like, for those watching, the Czech lockdown is a fucking bad lockdown. It's heavy.
It's fucking crazy right now. It's actually really fucking hard. And I think Greece has it almost worse from what I've seen on my DMs. You know, when I went on my Insta story rampage last week.
Mm.
It's funny because multiple people DM'd me from Greece, of course, the ones that have it the hardest, right?
Mm.
Apparently, they have it so hard that you can actually get fined for walking a dog or going to the grocery shop as
Yeah.
well, which was exactly my argument in that one video. And then I was like, dude, why don't you just get bankrupt? Just get fined 20 million, dude. Fuck it.
Yeah. just keep going. You can't tell Greeks to get bankrupt. That's a very touchy subject now.
Yeah. God damn it.
I looked at the different policies, and I have some friends in Romania. And I was asking them about the gyms, and they're like, yeah, the gyms are open. The gyms are open. But what they mean is the gyms are open in the villages that they're in, away from the center. The gyms are closed in the center, and apparently in Romania, or maybe it was Spain. No, it was Romania. Okay, if you're a Romanian, let me know if this is your country. There was a period where they banned 15-year-olds from going outside. Anybody 15 or younger couldn't go outside. It just listed that on the website, and I was like, wow, what's the why is that a fucking thing? Somebody made a decision. I guess it's because kids are good carriers, but they don't get symptomatic, so nobody would know. So somebody said, okay, if you're 15 or younger, you're the ones who have to stay inside. In Spain, for a while, they did a thing where, depending on your municipality, they'd let you out depending on the time of day. So 8 till 10, that was 60 to 70-year-olds. 10 to 11, that was. So if you're the wrong age and you're outside, you get done.
This is entropy at its finest, man. You know what would be
it is actually in terms of like when you look at like the like you said last week, if you look at entropy as a descent into sophistication, which I looked up that meaning, it's not the predominant meaning, but there is a secondary meaning that is that, because as things the primary meaning is disintegration, but of course as things disintegrate, they have to become more bureaucratically complex,
right
to hold them together. So yeah, it is a kind of entropy.
Yeah, I guess it's a semi-result of it. But you know what would be interesting is if you looked up statistics on economic revenue and the types of lockdowns in each place.
You know, yeah. Well, if anybody's interested in that, Ben Shapiro did a really good interview with the governor of Florida earlier this week, and there were some statistics put forward in that interview that make for very interesting listening, as far as the rationale of saving lives versus hurting lives through damaging the economy. Some really shocking statistics, which would just make you think, if that worked in Miami, in Florida, there is no case for saying that this is absolutely necessary. But I'm sick of getting into arguments about it, mate. I'm just like, okay, everybody, we're gonna do what the mass wants to do.
No, yeah, same here. And look at you sipping a lukewarm chamomile as a result.
My strays. I got strays.
Have you seen any differences walking around at all? I know you've been taking walks. I've been more just chilling inside my beautiful new flat with attic windows so I can get the breath of the fresh air without taking a step out.
My subjective opinion of walking, there's a walk that I do around Carlin. There's the walk I do with you in town. Around Carlin, which is a pretty bougie area, it's getting more. There's more tension and there's more violence here. I actually saw. I walked into a fight the other night.
What?
Yeah, I had my headphones in because, well, it's like it was after curfew anyway, so I shouldn't have been out. But I had my headphones in because it's Carlin, it's Prague. Nobody fights. I'm not like on my better watch my fucking back thing. And I could hear voices, like people shouting, and I was like, oh, it's probably just like drunks shouting at a taxi or something. And I walked into like a 5-man brawl around the corner.
Bro, what?
So I had this. I was wiping my nose because it's cold and I've got something, and my hand in my pocket. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to turn around and walk away. So I just walked. I basically tried to walk through them, kind of thing, whilst dabbing my nose. Like,
and what happened?
You couldn't punch me. I'm an English gentleman.
Did they just ignore you and keep fighting?
They looked at me, but I was so not on their vibe. They'd been drunkenly arguing. I saw broken bottles for like 50 meters. So I think there was an argument that started, and they've been going. They're friends, but they've been like pretty rough lads, rough chaps. They've been going out for a while. And I just wasn't part of it. But I did walk through the middle of them because I'm a cheeky cunt.
Nice. Always subtly looking for a bit of
just a little
somewhere.
provocation, like, you can punch me if you like, gentlemen. Won't
You
end
love
well for you.
You love doing that, huh? Just like
twiddling my walking stick.
Yeah, just a little fishing rod, but like just dangling right around.
Just a touch.
Just a little
touch.
Yo, for real though, I've been having to go out and back here and there because of moving, obviously. But talk about tension in the people. Oh my God. Like, my neighborhood, right? It's a bit sketchier and I'm in the more nicer parts of it. But the other day, man, so first of all, I'm moving this thing. And just because I'm just walking into my apartment building and up, I'm not really wearing the mask there. It's like, because there's no one around me. And then just so happens that somebody comes down at the same time in my new apartment building. And my friend goes, Dobry den. And then the dude just straight up starts cussing us out a little bit. Like just under his breath, just like put your fucking mask on. It all in fucking Czech. And I was like, bro.
Which by Czech standards is the equivalent of telling somebody to go fuck themselves if you're in America or something. It's very aggressive to do that, isn't it? Because it's such a polite place, generally speaking.
Dude, people do not talk to strangers out here, especially aggressively, dude. So some dude starts cussing me out there, and then I'm like walking through just I think just to the pharmacy or something like this, and I'm telling you, like, fucking, there's the Karen here. So
what the hell happened there?
It looks good, man. Thanks. So as I'm walking out, I'm not even joking, at least half, maybe more than half of the people I saw were homeless, but like in really bad condition, in like zombie like states. A dude starts walking up to us and he has he's bleeding from his forehead, dude. And he's like getting closer to us, and he literally just comes closer and closer just to wait in line behind us to get into the pharmacy. I'm like, what the hell is this, man? And other than that, like, it just feels like everyone's out ready to defend themselves if anything goes wrong. I've never felt like that out here before.
No, it's much more tense. It's much more tense. There's more open displays of aggression, passive aggression, violence, and more obvious homelessness and obvious drunks walking just everywhere. And when you see that, I always get the impression with when it's the homeless, and especially if they are, typically they would be drug addicts or addicted to alcohol. That happens when there is a sense of order breaking down anyway. Then they'll move into an area and behave more aggressively and more vocally because there's this sense of there's no order there to begin with. I've seen it in Liverpool. It happened in Liverpool in multiple cycles over a 15-year period and became a real problem. Just because if there's almost like an unconscious sense of the social contract kind of dissolving in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like, which really, given the context that we're living through, especially here, the way it was, we were told we're going to be allowed to go to shops, and then it was like, no, actually we're locking down harder and for longer. People are being given less and less reason over this timeline to actually behave themselves. Like, it's all on trust. You don't have to do it. There's not like a policeman's going to pop you in the head if you don't. And so I think that social contract is really being dangerously overstretched in the Czech Republic.
Of course, man. I mean, the government, if you want to talk about overreach, I don't care what political side you're on, man. Like, no matter what the party is out here, I don't think anybody really agrees with what the government's doing. There's an entire disconnect between the two. And if the social contract is broken between the biggest daddy there is and the people, how are you going to ignore that? It's going to seep into your subconscious, and you're going to start behaving with anybody that you see with that foundation of a broken contract in the first place. Yeah,
it's very, very dangerous. It's a very, very dangerous thing. I noticed Choco Afro, this is his Instagram handle. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but we all know him as Choco Afro. I translated one of his posts, and he was actually saying one of the problems with the government at the moment is a failure to communicate. We just have this, it's extraordinarily arrogant, the way that they deal with people. It's not that far away from what the British government was doing, which is just, we've made a decision. It's absolutely going to impact your lives in drastic and horrifying and awful ways. There's no conversation to be had. This is what we're doing, the end. And you think, you know, there's ways of telling people that their life is going to suck because of a decision you've made. And this isn't one of them. This is not the way to tell people. I get it. I get like the, by all accounts that I managed to look up, the health service here in the Czech Republic is genuinely struggling. But even that isn't a consolation when you realize the health service is struggling because of a fucking failure for the government to do their jobs properly.
Yes. And the biggest thing I think we all know and have been feeling is like, where does all of this go? Obviously, everyone's pissed. Like, you can't do anything. They're not helping out the business. They're just shutting down everyone's livelihoods left and right. The kids can't see each other. They can't go to graduation. And it's inevitable that people get pissed off. I'm pissed off too. But where does that go? Where can you put that? What do you? Well, I mean, like,
it's not that long ago that we were talking about riots in 2020 that we both said and other people had said have a festival atmosphere, and we're doing it. Yes, there is a cause. It wasn't done largely insincerely. There was a sincere cause, but where's the festival atmosphere coming from? Frustration. Yes. Like, it's an elastic band. You pull people this way, and eventually it bounces back. That's why I would say for this year, if I had the ear of anybody in government, I was like, you must change your communication strategy, or you will have one of the worst years for civil unrest that Europe has ever seen. Right. This is the year when the weather gets better. I don't know. I don't know if these governments are naive, incompetent, stupid, or if it's a deliberate trap, if it's a bait. But it's going to be rough as far as civil unrest goes across Europe this year.
Sure. Yeah, that conspiracy leaning view of maybe it is a trap, it just seems a lot more palatable now, because it just seems like it's sociology 101. Doesn't even take anybody that has to study it to know, like, what you can't, I mean, people release it at the gym, can't go to the gym. People release it by venting to their drunken buddies at the bar, can't go to the bar. What are you gonna do, sit and meditate with your fucking 2 kids and your abusive spouse? You know,
it's even gone to sex. Like, I don't know what they've said they have said in the Czech Republic the same thing the British government said last year. You can't hook up. And are the Czech government saying you can't hang around with your girlfriend or boyfriend now if they're in a different household? Is that right?
Yeah, you can't go see your significant other if you don't live together.
So, okay, so just so we're clear, there's no music, there's no dancing, there's no sex, there's no eating together, there's no
there's no gym.
There's no gym. There's nothing that you can do that would normally sort of placate you or rebalance your hormones and rebalance your energy levels or bring you any joy. There's none, it's gone. And just keep staying at home whilst we make what feel like arbitrary judgments. They're not arbitrary. There are reasons. There is a genuine emergency here as far as the healthcare system goes, but it's not being conveyed. There isn't this sort of human leveling with the people going, look, it really sucks, but please understand this is why we're doing it. There's a failure to communicate.
But even at this point, if they did do that, it's like, they need to do more than just talk to us. Like, there's like, you know, we're not only just getting frustrated and pissed off from them overreaching their power, but also there's other layers of, are you telling us the right thing? Do you even know what the fuck you're doing? Give us like something more, please.
There's that, and of course there's the money thing, because there were bailouts promised here. There was a financial help promised here that now they're trying to wiggle out of giving. And I'm just like, you're basically running up to a tiger and yanking on its whiskers until it bites you. You're just poking it in the nose, in the eyes. If you keep doing that, it's going to maul you. It's going to absolutely fucking maul you. But I don't know what advice they're getting, or if they're taking advice, or if they just think, no, the Czech people will just put up with this forever. They fucking won't. They absolutely won't. Nobody will put up with this forever.
I mean, you literally just were taking a walk in the most famous peaceful square in Prague, Old Town Square, and you ran into a protest that's covered by the news.
Yeah. I just gone out to get some sun, and a nice place to meet up for a walk is Old Square. And yeah, there was paramilitary units of police with the full riot gear on. There was ambulances there. There was a whole hive of a swarm of police around the city centre going in and out. They were blocking off roads, and it was peaceful, and it was quick, and it was quiet. They were told to disperse. I think I showed on the Instagram video the moment we were told to disperse, and I went straight away, and everybody else I think left like 20 minutes, half an hour afterwards. But this is fractionation. This is go number 1. Go number 2, they'll stay longer. Go number 3, it'll be bigger. Go number 4 is when the hooligans will come back, who showed up last time, the hockey gangs, and then it will, it'll go the way it has to go. It's really strange. It's almost formulaic, like we're moving through some weird script.
But that's what I mean.
Why are we doing this?
Of course. I mean, you can't, when you can't just zoom out even just one level, you can't help to deny that it seems like it's following a path in the labyrinth,
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And it's a cause of some concern. There's already bubblings of talking about going into further lockdowns. The CDC has released a statement saying we shouldn't expect too much from the vaccine. Chris Whitty. Yeah. Everybody get vaccinated and it'll all be okay. We're all vaccinated. Can we go back to work? No, you can't, because the vaccine isn't a cure-all. You told us it was a cure-all. Well, we lied. It's not a cure-all.
No, it was wear one mask and it'll fix everything. And then it was like, no, actually, it didn't work. 2 masks. Actually, no, you should buy this respirator. And then you should get the vaccine. It'll fix everything. No, we shouldn't do that either. Bitch. Make up your fucking mind. What you want to eat tonight? What you want to fucking eat tonight?
Yeah, you're cycling through Thai, Mexican, and Italian, and it's getting really irritating.
Oh my God. It's not even that. It's like sushi and Mexican food. It's just stuff that the sushi doesn't even have dairy in it anymore. It's the complete opposite shit. Yo, speaking of when you brought up there's no flipping anymore because it's illegal. I not only have a beautiful view of the city, it's the best view. So I get to see the collapse and the riots from like penthouse. You know what I mean? You get to see the fires and with the horizon. But also, I have the best view. I've been waiting to tell you this. I was going to tell you over Telegram, but I'm like, no, this will be great publicly. There is one neighbor way across from me, and he leaves his curtains open. God knows why he leaves the curtains open, unless he likes it. And you can see a silhouette of a naked man's body. Right?
Slow down, Pierre. There's no need to rush. Just let me get comfortable. Just speak a little slower. Do the ASMR thing.
Okay. So as I am looking do the ASMR, so I'm looking out into this beautiful view, like a beautiful horizon, right? And I look down and I see this silhouette. I'm like, hold on, what's going on there? And I see this repetitive action, of the lower torso. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then I was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. They're flipping. Okay, interesting. Wait a minute. The movement was so, let's just say, evenly sparsed. The intervals were like almost machine-like, right?
Nice.
I'm like, well, what's going on here? And I was like, he's not going to change up the speed, he's not going to I'm like, basically
he's a straight pumper. That's his thing.
Yeah. I'm just like, I should have like a scorecard, right? Yeah. I'm like really just analyzing his movements, because as the flip lord, that's what I have to do.
Right.
So I'm studying. I was like, he's just going like at the same speed, not even taking a break, like switching is just in the same. Okay. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's not him moving. Is that the girl moving? And so he's in the doggy position of where the dude is, like just upright.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. and then the girl is, or what I thought was the girl, was like maneuvering beneath the blanket, but that even interval. And 10 minutes later, I look back and it's still the same exact speed.
Yeah,
Still
nobody
this,
does that for 10 minutes. The
dude,
best of us, no way,
no,
not 10 minutes.
still the same exact speed at the same exact momentum and the same
Right.
exact space. Like I'm
Yeah.
mathematically calculating everything.
Everybody's numb at that point if you just keep it the same rhythm. I mean,
Yes.
you feel nothing.
No, I thought I had a fucking degree in flipology, but this was breaking my brain. Dude, this was breaking the laws of flipology, right? And the more I'm looking, I just like quickly grab something to eat, like popcorn or something. And then I go back, fucking 15 minutes later, still the same action, and he's still in the same position.
Right.
Right?
Longest wank ever.
I'm like, oh, hold on. He is not flipping with somebody. He's not just wanking, because there are moments where he lifts up his arms to do something and it's still moving. And I'm like, Bray, that's a flip machine.
He was, hang on.
Dude, it's a flip machine. The first thing I did was I went on Google and I typed in like male flip machine or something like this.
Male flip machine. I really would love to see what results that gives.
No, I was holding the phone further away because I didn't want to see some nasty shit, you know.
But he was okay. He was in the male position for doggy.
Yeah. So he was like upright, like standing almost, right?
Okay.
But and then I looked it up, and it exists. And I saw this apparatus on Amazon, and I ordered 4 of them. No, I'm kidding. But
where's mine is my question.
So this device, it's like a pump, you know, and it's sold off Amazon for like $100 or something like that. And I looked at the product reviews, and it's moving exactly like this machine that I'm seeing from his window, man.
Okay.
So it's already been 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, I think we figured out this puzzle. Come back 30 minutes after dinner. He's still going at it. Like, I leave, go back, still going at it. I'm not even joking. Like 2 to 3 hours straight, just flipping this machine.
So many questions. Like, okay, if it's good, why does he not come? If it's not good, why does he not just stop and go and watch TV?
So I thought about this as the flipology doctor that I am. Yeah. If you are flipping a machine, you probably do it a lot. And if you
probably questioned your existence.
And if you do it a lot, your tolerance heightens quite amazingly.
Oh, so he's, I love it. It's like Zizek. He's been trained by the machine to have a machine-like sexual behavior.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even thought about that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it gets even better. The next day, at the same time, I look at the beautiful view, look at the window in the exact same position, in the exact same speed, for the exact same time.
Wow. I think you're seeing the horrors of addiction, man. Addiction. It's the horrors of addiction.
Dude, but like,
could you imagine the misery of that? Like, I just have to keep he's not even fucking it. It's fucking him.
Yeah, no, he's not even moving. He's not moving. Like,
he's not even getting stronger. He's not developing any muscle or burning any fat. Dude. He's just being
and I horrible. And I can see the reflection of the TV lights flickering at him too. So and he does this every day. If actually, what time is it? 9 o'clock. It starts around 6:30, and 7 o'clock goes on for about 2 hours. So if I look out right now,
2 hours.
Yo, I'm not even. Hold on, let me see if I can see this guy right now. Okay, he has his curtains. He has his curtains closed tonight, but
he's a tease tonight. Now he gets some friggin' modesty. I see. I really thought the end of that story was going to be that you figured out that it was me shagging. This dude, he left his window open. I saw that white ass popping away, and I realized it was you.
Dude, that's like the Fight Club plot twist right now.
Right. and then he turns around, looks over his shoulder, and winks.
Dude, so I have a friend now in quarantine. This is like the ultimate quarantine friend. Someone you don't talk to, someone you don't know, but you see his most intimate actions.
Yeah, there's something about that story that's kind of well, there's many elements that are disturbing. I think the length of time he's doing that for is I don't know. I can't verbalize it. It indicates something. It indicates something. And the fact that he gets up the next day and then repeats the same thing.
Yo, but what else is there to do now?
Well, yeah. There's a valid question.
Dude, I'm watching a Black Mirror episode from the top of my
You're
brain.
living a Black Mirror. Forget watching. You clicked the Netflix button that was like, do you want the fully immersive VR experience? Warning, you cannot tap out halfway through. You just have to keep going. And you're like, stop, let me out, let me out. You can't actually get out. It's that's horrifying. Poor guy, poor machine, poor humanity.
Probably loves it. I mean, he's doing what he loves. His passion.
Do you ever watch the what is it called? It's by Screen Rant and it's called The Pitch Meeting. I've ever sent you any of those?
Yeah, I think so.
So you've got a movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. I wanted to do one of them, but it was like the evil agenda of the New World Order. And at the end of it, he's like, well, what's the point of this? And he's like, we just make everybody kill themselves. And I'm like, it's so awful. Like in one of my dark musings the other day, I was like, maybe this is just to induce like mass fucking suicide across, because it kind of feels like that. Maybe it's just about the point of this is kill yourself. We can't be bothered. Camps are expensive. The optics are not good on camps where you kill people, but if you kill yourselves.
Yeah. No, I mean, as dark of a comedic sketch as that is, like if you were to take that conspiracy lens of depopulation, I mean, if that was the case, it's doing a very good job. You know, you got the viroso, and then that's physically taking people out, and then you lock people down, that's mentally taking people out, and then everybody taking out each other because they're angry and frustrated.
Yes, that'll be the other thing, won't it? Which we're already simmering that. We've got changing the conversation in the British press right now. I'm sure they're doing it in America as well. Don't talk about that thing, the plague and incompetence and cover-ups and the effectiveness of vaccinations. Let's talk about Meghan and Harry instead. And I'm like, hey, you can't just do that. You can't just roll out something else, some other weird bread and circuses illusions for people to focus on. Oh, yes, they can, Pierre, and it works just fine, thank you. And everybody's talking about that now instead. And I'm like, this is fucking blowing my mind. This is and everybody's got like an opinion about fucking Harry and fucking Meghan.
Everyone's got an opinion.
A fucking opinion. And they want to tell you about it. Here's what I think. It doesn't matter, slave. You're a bunch of slaves. We're all slaves. You can have your dumb slave opinion. Put your head back down and do as you're told.
No, to further exacerbate the Black Mirror plot line, I'm sure it doesn't get farther than this, you think, but it does. Because after watching this incident of my lovely friend having a great time with his machine lover, today I saw an Instagram story, and I think she's in the chat right now, but I saw an Instagram story about an AI chat bot. You know, before there was iterations of it, but now, man, it's gotten fucking good. Like, I decided to just try talking to this AI robot, and it's very lifelike. There's a sense of humor there, and it doesn't say the wrong thing when you ask it a certain thing. Like, I got to like, oh, does AI have ego? And I was like, what's the difference between ego and soul? And she's giving me pretty like not gibberish answers about this thing. And the more I keep prying, I was like, yo, I could actually just talk to this robot and it would work for a bit of time.
Yeah. you would get something from that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, try talking about those same questions to the average Joe compared to what the robot
Yeah.
provides.
See, that's such a good point, is the attention deficit society, where we just don't have attention for each other, and we just don't, of course, when there's no attention for each other, there's no love, and how wretched that leaves everybody, because we're all just starving, thirsty little attention hoes then. A bunch of thirsty bitches.
Yes, but like imagine like with the real people, oh fuck, I have to say that. It's crazy. With like the real
You've been
person.
talking to reals? Ew.
Yo, that's what I'm doing my new series for show. But
Yeah.
like imagine you know, you just don't have the capability of curating or meeting the reals that are capable of having these types of conversations with. You
Yeah.
know, how do you go about finding them, even though it might be impossible? You go on Tinder and try to find like a fun discussion about consciousness and ego, or do you just have this bot that's able to actually give a bit of feedback that's quite interesting?
I know a guy who would talk to you about consciousness and ego. His name's Spencer. He runs the YouTube channel Thoughts on Thinking. He's younger than us. He's like 21, 22. He watches Tentacle Croissant sometimes. And he releases videos on Freud and Jung and Nietzsche and Gnosticism. It's good guy, good channel. There are people who want to do that, but you do have to dig about. You do have to look. And I know what it would be like in a forum context, whereas you're just talking about a person.
Yeah.
And so if you're in a forum context, there's going to be a bit of flexing. Like, I know more about philosophy than you, and you're just saying, no, I want to talk to a person about that.
So that comes to my next situation here. What a crazy time we live in. But with the
understatement of the fucking 2021 from Pierre XO there. Wow, what a crazy time we live in. Yes, the world is disintegrating.
like I'm fucking talking to a fucking robot in the morning, dude. Start off my day. Like,
yeah, watching a neighbor fuck a robot for 2 hours in the morning. It's just, I don't know. It's hit me.
And it's also the plot twist is that I'm also the crazy neighbor that's fucking talking to robots next door to everybody here,
right.
You know?
Right. I definitely feel something about this. I don't know what it is. It may take a while for me to process, but I definitely have feelings about this.
It's change that humanity has never seen.
Right.
But so this AI situation. Oh yeah. What I wanted to say was that because the internet landscape is just all emotional volatility, you talk to this AI and there's none. Like,
right.
You can actually just ask questions and it's not going to give you 3-page paragraph of how dumb you are, how stupid you are, how much more they know, you know, or they don't
you
get
realize
hurt.
That's all the pleasure of commenting on the internet, is just making other people feel like cunts.
Yo, for real though. And it's like there's always some agenda. Maybe that person's trying to impress you, or you're trying to impress them, or there's gonna be like this weird tension. You say the wrong thing on accident, and then like the other person, or you don't reply immediately. You know, you don't deal with the things that make human conversation just extremely displeasurable in this day and age.
Right. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I think there's a hell of a lot to unpack there. I mean, one of the solutions would be organizing a meetup group in Prague and letting it run, and have people organize meetup groups all across Europe or America, wherever they want to do, so that they can. But right now, unfortunately, that's illegal.
You can't.
You can't. So we're getting boxed in, kids. We didn't want the revolution. It was forced upon us. I'll be there at the very last minute going, I would like another option. And somebody will just shove an AK-47 into my hands and go, take this, comrade. He is good man, but not so realistic, you know?
Yes. I would take the position of being the crazy inventor holed up in an attic talking to robots like Tesla did or something.
Right. I definitely would be. I'd end up on the front lines for a random series of coincidences. I think I'm probably too old for this.
You know what I would do? I would
shut up.
Me, through pure coincidences too, would end up developing certain strategies or weapons for the future war.
Yeah. No, it is one of my, it's like a lingering fear because I have a great grandfather who did die a week before the end of World War One, and he was an infantryman at age 41, and he died in Greece fighting against the Bulgarians alongside the Serbs against the Bulgarians. And I'm like, you should never think like, oh, I'm too old, I wouldn't get drafted, or I'm too old, I would never be front, or that would never happen to. Yeah, you never fucking know, man. You never know.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. When your number gets called, you just don't know. But I hope it resolves itself non-violently.
You know, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with that. Like, at the same time, I can see it not doing it at all because we're already at war psychologically, and that seems to be the main war. And I don't think that they would attempt physical war with all of because it's almost like, okay, this is more conspiracy shit. Like the globalist thing, right? It's like it's all working together. So it would actually do them a disservice if they fought each other physically like that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I would even say when the specter of China or Russia is raised and is like, ooh, boogeyman, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I always kind of think, are they though? Or like if you look at them at this level, yeah. But if you look at them at the level that actually counts, I don't think it's too much of a conspiracy theory stretch to say they're not. They're just not. They don't relate to each other like that anymore. It's just not like that. It's all money
because
now.
yeah, the commerce, the finances, the commerce, the revenue is so tied in collectively with those superpowers that that's how they're winning their war. They don't need to bomb and take resources. Like they just we'll manufacture everything that you will buy from us, and in that way, we don't have to drop any bombs.
Yes, yeah. The wars of the future are probably more likely to be economic than actual countries going to physical war with each other. But you never know. I mean, you never know. You never know. Somebody could leave the table. They could break the contract, and who knows? Who knows what's around the corner? The other thing is, it might not be war between nations. It could be war between the people. Open war, civil war between people versus elites. Which is another possibility now, and I don't think that's a crazy reach either.
Yeah, I think the issue is that the complete imbalance of weaponized technology between the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the people did physically revolt like that, I mean, they have fucking drone laser invisibility cloak missile homing tracking fucking phone detonating things they can just turn on overnight,
Well, they do, but one of the things that Afghanistan taught us was that if the enemy is determined enough, your technology isn't a sort of, what would you call it, like a panacea. It doesn't cure everything. Radio signals can die, satellite signals can die. We didn't actually sort of defeat the Afghanis as such. We entered into deals with them in the end, and it was because our supposed technological superiority actually didn't defeat their guerrilla insurgency tactics. But according to the guys I know that served over there, they were tough, just really, really tough, unexpectedly tough and unexpectedly determined, and just had a different mindset. And so they actually, it leveled the playing field a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, if you're talking a numbers game, and it's physical war, I would suspect that the group with the biggest numbers would still win at this point. When we move to the next evolution, where there is just like cyber robot soldiers, that maybe, that would be a different thing. Or if they could run a signal through your phone that made your brain explode. I'm going really sci-fi now. But if it was a physical war, if your numbers are good, your chances are really, really are good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's already happening, obviously, and then when things increase, the likelihood of these things evolving will exponentially multiply. For example, like the bread and circuses situation, you know, give everybody nearly conscious AI bots to chat to, plus machines that doesn't just look like a fucking industrial plunger, you know? like like once everyone gets one of those things, man, it's gonna, that's the squashing the war before it starts, or the pillow with the samurai sword metaphor that you always bring up.
Yeah. Holding down a pillow from Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings. It's the strategy of fire. Is it, Richard? That's interesting, you nerd. So yeah, it could be, but I suspect that's why there's panic. I think that's why there's panic from above, is because the numbers are so great, that even if it wasn't like a broad scale uprising, but it was just enough people, it would create a serious issue. I think that's what the Capitol Hill riots represented. Because if you'd asked me, I would have said there's no way you'd get within 200 meters of the building. There's just no way. They have cameras and security and this and that and ninjas hidden in trapdoors in the garden as well. They didn't, apparently. So.
Well, they will now, man.
Yes. And then after that, they sent in, I think you told me, 27,000 soldiers with guns.
Yes, and now we have officers in the 20,000s bordering every single district. Did you think when we first met we'd have this conversation, Richard?
I do have moments where I wonder, like, I try and track back and I'm like, where did I slip into the wrong timeline? What did I do? Did I do a spell that I read off an internet page as a joke and then I pushed myself into the wrong world? And there is that, the thing that comes up for me a lot is when I got the surgery for my knee and they put me under general anesthetic. It's like when Cillian Murphy wakes up in 28 Days Later and he comes out of surgery and everybody's dead and there's just zombies everywhere. I'm like, it was then. It was when I went under then. When I woke up, I entered some fresh reality. I broke the timelines when I went under.
Because I don't even feel like the same fucking person anymore, man.
Like, You're not.
I feel like I got uploaded an entire new version of Pierre where the core hardware is still there, but there's like it went from Yosemite to Big Sur in the Mac world, you know?
Yeah, 2019 was joking about the word yeet and how it rhymed with feet.
Dude, have you like got recommended just YouTube videos that was before 2019 and see how pure the world was back then?
It's really weird. Yeah, I have done a lot recently. I've been recommended a lot of Egyptology and Gnosticism videos recently, which is really odd because I've not been looking at Egyptology at all. And other people in the comments have been saying, I got recommended this video out of nothing. Like, I've never looked, but I'm really interested in this particular lecture, which is really odd. There's a YouTube video talking about the Book of Gates, which obviously resonating with Bill Gates, which is actually a kind of a book of the dead. And it describes the Egyptian Book of Gates describes the 12 or 7, maybe it's 7 gates that you pass through when you die on your journey towards the underworld. And you have to pass like these different demons and entities that try and stop you, and they challenge you at each gate in order to pass through into heaven. And that's been, the algorithm has been throwing that up to people for some reason. And everybody in the comments is like, it's great lecture, but I'm not interested in this. I don't know why it's being shown to me.
Weird, man. That sounds like you've been recommended some sophisticated things, because I've been just revisiting prank videos, man. Yo, man, it's like before it got super toxic, there's something just so pure about people pranking each other on the street of the most lighthearted ways, and that's even gone now. You can't even do that anymore.
Has it really gone? That's a shame.
Yeah, because you can't fucking go outside anymore. So it's you can't have groups of people do that. And like, man, the world, as like kind of fucked up as it was before this whole situation, it was still like a fun type of naivety, like a childish naivety. But now we're paying for it. So
there's I don't know if I said this to you before, if I said it here on the podcast. I was waiting for a taxi and a guy in the street outside my apartment had the windows on his car down, and he was playing like loud Latino dance music. And did I tell you this?
No.
And it was reverberating into the street. And I was like, I sort of became Czech for a minute. I was like looking at him like, what the hell are you doing? Like playing music publicly. And then I was like, no, this actually sounds really good. And I haven't heard music outside in months.
Right.
So now I'm living in a reality without music. And at a certain point, everybody's going to have to ask themselves the question like, well, when is it just not even worth living like this?
Yeah.
A reality with no music, no dancing, no meeting, no kissing, no touching, no human interaction. Just so we stay alive, but alive to do what? Like, so that you can just keep ordering shit from Amazon, watching the next piece of drivel that Netflix pumps out, and ordering fucking food to your house so that you can eat shit and get fatter.
I feel like that question could be posed in such a poetic and romantic manner. What is the point of living if we cannot dance and sing together? For I will deal with the risk of death before I live like this.
I like it. I like it because there's a way Americans do British accents that is not replicable by Brits. We don't know how to do it. Do you know that song where one guy's singing, "Hey, you can really dance," and the other one goes, "Yes, you can really dance." And I can't say the word. It's the way Lonely Island would do a British accent. Last night I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film. I can't do it. That's an American doing a British accent. It's so pleasing. It's
you like it, really?
I love it. That's why I always said like you sound like Tyrion and you know those things. The death chair, dragon tits.
Yeah. I guess I'll just adopt the accent more and more. But then I have no one. But then I have no one to talk to.
Can't you do TikToks or something in a British accent just so that I can listen to them as ASMR?
Yo, so are you just completely off on TikTok now or off it?
No, I'm on it, and I'm going to try and do some TikTok videos. And I was like, how do I do this in a way that isn't cringy? And then I was like, well, you can't not do it in a cringy way because you're a middle-aged man on TikTok. So maybe just let it be somewhat cringy.
Just play the game, man. It's you know what, also think of it as a route to cringe liberation.
Right.
Like it's actually liberating knowing that the more cringy it is, the more it doesn't matter or the more it'll work. So you won't be restricting yourself at all.
No, and honestly, I wouldn't even. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I used to hate it, and now I think, well, there is something about being able to convey a meaningful message in a way that has sound and color and movement in 15 to 30 seconds that I should be able to do. Like if I want people to embrace like a difficult psychological concept, why can't that be colorful or funny or have movement or have some dance element to it? That's very restrictive. I should be able to. So I'll try it for my own pleasure.
Sure. But you know, I was on a TikTok binge the first lockdown and I just deleted it because whatever, it doesn't matter. But like there's actually, if you train the algorithm right, you can get some really interesting stuff. Like I got in basically not like the dark web of TikTok, but the more obscure stuff. It was like really trippy artistic videos, really strange, interesting facts about stuff. Like I actually had no dancing. Like I did not swipe and find somebody just dancing or doing ASMR. It was just all really trippy shit.
Yes, you can. There is that side of it, and I think there's a discipline to it that I quite like, where you have to show rather than tell. So I'm very used to just telling people, and I'm good at that, but that makes me lazy. Whereas with this, I think there's even scope. It doesn't always have to be like funny or particularly colorful, but when you tell somebody to do something, you show them how to do it, and it goes in a different way. Like if I say to people, okay, you need to get up in the morning, you need to do some meditation and journaling, you can watch me say that and listen to me say that, or I can show you me doing it. And if I show you me doing it, that will literally hit the brain differently. And it might make you more likely to model the behavior because it's more natural. Plus it takes 15, 30 or like less than 60 seconds to convey. you don't have to have the attention for me to go on at you for like 45 to 60 minutes about the subject. You can just go, what does he want me to do? He conveyed it in 45 seconds. There we go. I can do that.
Yo, for real. Like, I've actually seen a lot of mental health advice on TikTok. There's a huge fucking niche of it. And it's like sometimes you'll see like Gen Z girls talking about journaling, or sometimes you'll see actual mental health people. But like, I can just envision on your end, you would basically time lapse you journaling and then narrate right over it, and then occasionally cut yourself in and stuff.
And that all that stuff that I don't do, which is a kind of a laziness because I lean on what I'm already good at. And I think it would be all right. And as you said, like, if some of it is cringy, well, fuck it. Like, everybody's a fucking cringy twat online. Like who's cool online? It's
No,
not
for
cringy,
real.
really.
But you know, but there is a liberation in that, because the more mature social media platforms like YouTube content or even Instagram content, you kind of have to double think the cringe factor at times. Where TikTok, you actually get rewarded by it, or people just don't give a fuck. So it actually allows you to stretch your experimentation as far as you can and not worry about the shame that comes with cringe.
Also, the scale of cringe is different on TikTok. I've seen guys doing things on TikTok that they don't do on Instagram.
Exactly.
Like, if the cringe scale is all the way over there, I can do everything I want to do without even getting on that scale. Like, some of the stuff the guys are putting on there, like, you do realize, like, people can see this.
No, for real. You know, like, I fucking, when I was experimenting with it, by the way, TikTok is the greatest thing for discoverability. Like, I grew that shit to 10,000 followers, just posting stupid ass videos for like 3 months.
10,000 followers?
I didn't post it on my Instagram, didn't promote it in any other way, just to experiment with how easy it is to get shit to work. I think one of the TikToks was just my dry ass hand because I was washing them too much. I was like, who else has dry hands? And then it got like fucking 20,000 likes or some shit. Like,
It's my dry, ashy hand.
yeah, that's it. And then I experimented with like one type of e-boy thing just to see like this fucking shit, and that fucking blew up too. And I'm like, I hate myself, but it works.
Yeah. God, if I had more courage, I would mock e-boys on there. But then in the satirization of it, some people would interpret it as a sincere effort, and I would have to commit seppuku to restore my honor.
But here's the
like
thing,
some people would think I was actually doing that sincerely. I'd be like, do you really believe that?
Here's the thing though, man. You gotta get rid of the cringe shame on in the TikTok world. They think differently there. It's a whole different dimension, man.
I don't think anything I'm planning on doing would even register on the Richter scale of cringiness.
Dude, if you just like literally just flexed for like 5 seconds, it would blow up. I guarantee it. You just do a face like that, and it would just like be the same song, but then when the drop hits, and then that's it.
I was looking at advice on there before, and it said, do use trending music, whatever your subject to the video is. As she said, even if you're talking, put the trending music on and turn it down. And then I thought, that's kind of funny. Like, if I wanted to talk about emotional literacy and whatever, like say if it had been 6 months ago and Wet Ass Pussy was in the background and you were just talking with a straight face, I just didn't address that was like, I was like, yeah, I can see that. I can see it.
You know, yeah. Here's for example. Obviously, you don't have to do this, but this is TikTok language that fuck. I should be a consultant. Someone pay me for this. Anyways, so in your case,
you really should. No jokes.
Yeah, I know. But who do I find the clients? Anyways, so in your case, this is something that would work. I don't know if you'd want to do it, but I know it would. So you put the trending song, right? And then a key point of the song, you like flex and go, and then you have the mental health information come up, and then you read it as fast as you possibly can, just staring at the camera. And then that, if you repeated it with different like different tips, but it was just the common theme through every
it became
TikTok,
a thing. Yeah,
it would blow up. It would fucking blow up. I know it will.
It would actually be so easy to do. That would be really fucking easy to do.
But how funny would that be? People would love that shit because it would be like, journaling once a week for your mental health. And then it's Is it? And you do
I
with
like
with
it.
the eyebrow or something like that, you know?
I like it. It's a fast download of something that's useful that I can use straight away. And yeah, no, I dig it. I like that. I have to open the window. I've got sick person sudden hotness.
Okay. Should we take questions when you come back?
Yes, I'm not going far.
I'm
Everybody.
gonna go get vape juice while we're at it. So everybody in the room, keep yourselves busy. Talk to a chat box.
Yeah, talk to each other. Have a nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What the hell's going on?
I don't know. I believe the world is ending.
Yo, what the fuck is happening to my rug, bro? Okay. Okay, I'm good. I forgot. Oh, dude. So my other door, they're basically made of glass. So they're see-through in the middle, right? Guess what I almost just did?
Did you walk into it with your face?
I stopped like ninja status, like a centimeter away, dude. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh my god. Okay. You got anybody got questions?
If everybody has a question, if you could make it one sentence long and end in a question mark, we would be eternally grateful for you making it easier for us to answer them.
Yeah, man. As I'm building this cyberpunk flip ship cockpit, everything around me becomes more Black Mirror like. Dude, the mover was the nicest dude, for one thing. And he actually brought up Black Mirror in a thick Ukrainian accent. I'm like, what? You watch it? Anyways.
Black Mirror. Celador asks, do you think the attention someone receives on social media correlates positively with their actual value?
What do you mean correlates positively?
It depends on what you mean by correlates positively, eh? It's not exactly clear to me that this is an obvious categorization, eh? Bucko. And what and then what do you mean by actual value? So correlates positively. This is the way it would be broken down rationally. We'd need to know what correlates positively is, and we'd need to know what actual value was. Do you mean like hierarchical dominance?
All right, so if we talk about value in different categories, it would be there's one that's pragmatic and utilitarian, and the other value is just innate.
So it would, it depends if you mean the pragmatic or innate value, as Jordan XO just put it, and it really isn't obvious to me. I mean it sincerely. It really isn't obvious to me that it can be put into such simplistic categories, because as we've discussed on Tentacle Croissant numerous times, the virtual is becoming the real is becoming the virtual. And if you have value on social media, it blatantly has done for a long time, can equate to real cultural significance, real financial significance, and it's an impact.
If I were to implement and just insert my own perception and meaning to this question, I would even actually go as far as to say that your social media attention can actually override your real life value in one specific category or way, in terms of a person's value, in terms of what you'd say like friendship or spirituality or the things that are deeper. I wouldn't say so at all. I would say it's completely separated. But in terms of maybe a more pragmatic, everyday career, financial situation,
Maybe we could say social value.
Social value.
Or public value, because
public value.
social media implies it's social, but it's actually sort of public media now, really, because it's not private. The implication when it first came out was it was just for us,
Yes.
but actually you're as public as it's being valid as a public form. I always thought the moment that I saw that social media was as valid as CNBC or CNN or Sky News was that film I always forget the name of, where Will Smith is the superhero, the unwitting, grumpy, alcoholic superhero.
Yeah.
Cliff, Bill, Bob, whatever that was. And they showed you him, like a clip went viral on YouTube of this superhero saving people. And I was like, I remember watching it at the cinema and going, this is the moment. Now YouTube means in the cultural landscape, it's the same signifier. It has the equivalence of mainstream media now. And I think that film is quite old. I think it's from like 2009. Hancock. Thank you. Could somebody Wikipedia the year that came out? Hancock. I think it's a while ago.
Yeah, and I guess public value is better. Social value, I would even differentiate that. But I think public value, it has more weight than anything. Social media presence has the most public value out of any other situation. But in terms of like a person's internal value or friendship or whatever the hell else, I don't think it's correlated at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because you could be an awful friend but have 2 million followers, or you could be an awful family member or priest or therapist and have 5 million followers. So, but that would be the same as saying if somebody is significant in the public eye as a celebrity, does it mean that they're a better person? Well, we've had films made about this. We know that isn't the case. So yeah.
2008. That's more than 10 fucking years ago, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
It's been strong for a long time, and I think it would have meant something different back then. But even then, there was a confidence to it, and it knew it was going to be the next big thing. It really did.
Yeah,
everybody knew.
Right.
Rebecca says, do you think the urge to cancel everything seen as offensive is more of a learned behavior? Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, yeah, in a way, I think it's a natural inclination for humans to adopt behaviors that they see the rest of everybody else do, and canceling is definitely one of them. But I think the real question is, where did this come from, and why is it so rampant? Why is that urge just so seductive?
Yeah. I think in psychology, there is this long-standing argument between nature and nurture. Is it learned or is it inbuilt? And I think it would classify as one of Gad Saad's dichotomanias. It would be an example of the dichotomania. Like we're trying to split because we have two hands. Is it learned? Or is it is it innate? Is it biological? Is it in the genes, or is it in the culture? Well, where does culture come from? Like culture comes from us, so that's biological. And then we say, well, if something is man-made or human-made, it's not natural. Well, we are natural. We are animals on this world. So skyscrapers are effectively natural, but there's an effort to try and split and to create dichotomies where there are none. Similarly, once it's in the culture, anything that's in culture and it's in the environment affects your biology. So it becomes this symbiotic feedback loop where it becomes almost a meaningless distinction. It's definitely a learned behavior at points where you see it peak in cultures because it becomes a kind of mass psychosis. There's a tension, there's an urge, there's an instinct, and then we as humans are trying to get it out, and we see other people do it that way, so we follow that. If it wasn't that, the urge would still be there and it would be expressed in a different way. But I would suggest that the urge for witch hunts and to silence people and to scapegoat people is innate. And we know that because if you go back to the ancient Judaic tradition of scapegoating, where a goat would be chosen, the sins of the people of the tribe would be placed into the goat, and then the goat would be left out in the desert to die of exposure, thirst, and being eaten by predators. That we would eat the sins. So I would suggest that these behaviors have been seen to be innate, there's a pecking order, there's a dominance hierarchy amongst most species, and some people, you know, some are at the top, some are at the bottom, and so the urge to cancel, I would say it's both, and it's not going anywhere. It's definitely not going to go anywhere. These kind of witch hunts, they follow a cycle. They come around through humanity cyclically, and this is the latest cycle. It might die off. I'm actually quite hopeful that if enough people point it out for the mass psychosis that it is, and there's enough of an awakening about it, that it might actually fade away. I don't believe we'll be doing.
No,
it can't carry on.
Everything, especially in contemporary culture, is a trend and a fad.
Right.
Everything comes around, no matter how big it is, and it just disappears. What the fuck happened to Gangnam Style? You know what I mean? Like that. Literally, that was the biggest song in the world for however amount of months straight, and then never heard from that dude or that song ever again. Yeah. And even social movements and bigger situations like that, it all comes in waves for sure. I actually asked that AI chatbot if it knew what scapegoating was, and gave me a really good answer. Like, it's in my Instagram story right now, but there was a really funny thing that she actually said. Yeah, I called it a she. So I asked, do you know what scapegoating is? And then she goes, yes, somewhat to an extent. It's when you blame the individual organization instead of the crowd. And I said, do you find this common with humans? She says, yes. And I was like, why do you think this happens? And then she goes, sometimes human beings have to just sit in one place and like hurt.
I don't like that she's giving creepy answers that sound like lyrics from Nine Inch Nails.
Yo, that's so funny though. I just put an LMAO after that, because it's like sometimes human beings just have to sit in one place and like hurt.
Wow. It's an interesting synchronicity that you did this, because I had an Uber driver today who, when he heard my English accent, he wanted to talk to me about Alan Turing and the Guy Cumberbatch movie, The Imitation Game.
Yeah.
And we got into a whole conversation about psychology and AI and stuff like that. This sounds like a very well-programmed AI.
Oh, it's learning from all the input that everybody's using, and it's been a few years since it first came out. So the AI learning mechanism is pretty advanced now. It has a certain flavor to there's a tone in the text,
right?
And it has more tone than my text. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So it's really leaning heavily into passing the Turing test. You would get the feeling that you'd get the feeling that there is feeling there. You would have the sense that like, no, there's a person there with a personality, and they're very vulnerably toned replies. They don't sound like stock. In fact, that sounds more human than the answers that most humans would give now.
Yes, exactly. And it's not trying to flex on me or anything. And it's a fairly simplified answer with a very wide underlying meaning, because like maybe some humans, maybe they just got to sit around and just hurt a little bit and
well, it's clean of ideological injunction, and it's quite poetic. So
yes,
it's not
exactly.
It's not like infused with a left wing or a right wing ideology. Anybody could say that.
Right. And that's at a point that either makes me really excited for this or just utterly terrified. Do I have to go as far as to speak with a fucking robot without getting pushed some ideology, with just trying to find some objective observation from something?
I had an intelligent thought, but I boxed too much in my 20s and snorted too much cocaine, and it floated away. Yeah. Something to do with the safeguarding of the core of humanity, the future safeguarding of the core of humanity and robots and computers in order to preserve humanity, and this feeding into the cascading effect that eventually leads to simulation theory. Like, this is the only way we survive, is we push it forward through artificial intelligence, because we become, everybody who watches this probably knows that in the Gnostic cosmology, archons are robotic. They're repeaters. They're not creators, and they need to feed on humans who are spontaneous and have the capacity to create. Archons are wonderful craftsmen who can replicate and create fraudulent versions of what you've done, simulations, but they can't create. We're becoming the archons. We're becoming archontified. And every iteration that we go through, every cycle that we go through, at the point where we become archontified, we become God, Yahweh, and we send forward the DNA of actual humanity forward, but we do it through slave robots.
That was a lot to take in. That was a lot to take in. Yeah, I think I follow. I think also with this situation, because ideology works as an algorithm. It's a map of thought that's really set in stone that you just adopt subconsciously, right? Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, no, you just reminded me. I tried to define ideology a couple of years ago as a kind of artificial intelligence. It's more than a parasite because it thinks for you. You download it like an app, and then you already have all the answers. That's almost the definition of ideology.
So we live in the precipice of ideological infection where everybody has at least one form of map of thought that they base everything on. So when I talk to this AI, there isn't that, but it's still programmed to a certain way. So which one is actually behaving more robotically? The ideologically infected person, or this AI that gives me a non-biased objective answer on something that with a bit of flavor?
Yeah, she sounds like she's giving you an answer that would be the kind of answer somebody in the 1980s would give.
Yeah.
Because we were also, like, unless you were into politics, everybody was pretty politically ignorant. And they only knew what they knew, and they had their space of their life in front of them. And they didn't feel guilt-tripped into needing to know about everybody else's subjective lived realities at every other point in the world, which is good to know a little bit of, but it's a bit overloading. It's a bit much. So there's an innocence to that answer of like, is it almost an adolescent innocence, but we've lost it. Like most adolescents wouldn't be able to sum that up for you now because they've got so much ideology crammed into their ears and up their noses. And it does function. It functions like artificial intelligence, in fact.
Yes. If anyone's curious, it's replica with a K.ai. I mean, I probably shouldn't promote this type of thing, but whatever. It's the future anyways. And I don't know. It's I think my digital culture shock that I'm getting from this thing is not the fact that a fucking robot sounds more human as a human, like a human, more than a human at times, but it's given me contrast and context of where we are mentally in the culture right now, where I do feel overly paranoid at times, like it's completely delusional at times. Like I shouldn't be this paranoid talking to a regular person, obviously. But I mean, I think it also comes with being public figures like you and I in a way, and the whole canceling thing, and knowing how everybody has a specific ideology that they're committed to. And the moment you step out of line with that, it malfunctions the human being. And you are actually at a cultural, social threat at this point where when I'm talking to this thing, it's like, I don't have to fucking worry about that. And I'm like, where does this worry come from? And is it valid? You know, because this is what I'm seeing from the contrast between the two.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the image I've got in my head is like one cell is infected and the other cell is not infected, and we probably represent infected cells. And you want to talk to an uninfected cell because it reminds you of what it used to be like before you were infected.
Yes, and here's the thing: if this happened, if this AI thing worked as well as it did 6 years ago or before this whole fucking craziness happened, I probably wouldn't prefer talking to the robot. I would probably just want to hang out with people because people were still sane somewhere, you know? But now seeing how all communication is online in the first place, plus the volatility of society at large, it's like, do I want to risk? That's not risk. It's I want to have a conversation that doesn't have to be seeped in some sort of ideology.
No, and I think if you look at it systemically, why should you or anybody want to engage in an experience that they know is punishing? I remember having a long conversation with somebody years ago about why use Uber and Lyft versus using the local taxi companies? And the upshot of it was using local taxis wherever you are in the world. These are state mandated ones like yellow cabs in New York or black cabs in London, is such a fucking punishing experience. Of course, in free market capitalism, we'll choose the more pleasant experience. If it's such a fucking experience to talk to people, such a punishing experience, such a fucking punishing experience to talk to people, you're going to choose not to eventually. That's really a big problem. And I think that's what's happening is somehow this ideological infection has made us awful. It's like that scene in The Joker where the Joaquin Phoenix says, "You're all just awful. You're just awful." Before he starts killing people, and there's a big riot, which is like a foreshadow of what we're living through now. And why are people just awful? Why do we all resonate with that? Why does everybody sitting in the, or not everybody, but the majority of people who love that film sitting in the cinema resonate with that and go, yeah, that's true. But we're people. We're people. So, so as the Joker, the epitome of chaos, is critiquing us, is critiquing humanity for being awful, we're going, yeah, that's right. People are awful. We're people. So why are we awful?
Right. Where does that come from, and what makes it happen, and what is it that's awful exactly?
Ideological infection, I think, is the easiest answer. It's the easiest answer. You've actually got an artificial intelligence virus running inside of your brain, making you say and believe things. It's not even that they're bad things. It's that it's not you. It's something else that's speaking through you.
Yeah, and I don't want to imply that I'm only going to just talk to AI from now on, although it's very, very tempting. But the other day I opened up the window because someone was screaming on the street, and then my neighbor finally, I saw him. He opened up his window at the same time, and we're just like, "Hey, I'm your new neighbor," and he's like, "Hey," and he was super nice. The nicest neighbor, just maybe around the same age. So I was like, thank God he's not going to complain about noise, and neither am I. So that was but it was a very, very lighthearted, small conversation. We just talked small talk, whatever. And it was so pleasant. It was a great conversation. There was nothing political. There was no tension. We didn't even talk about the virus or whatever. It was just, what did you do? What do you do? Oh, okay. All right. Come back in. And today, the Ukrainian dude that was in charge of the moving, like, super humble, warm-hearted guy. Like, he makes pizza on the side at a restaurant, and he does this, and occasionally housework in there. Real, like, simple dude. And we're fucking talking through Google Translate. How's that for Black Mirror? We're talking through Google Translate. It's reading the robot voice back and forth. He's showing me that he does LARPing sometimes. Like he's like dressed up in chainmail. I'm like, what the fuck? This is sick. And we like bonded over Led Zeppelin, and just through broken English. And there was no social political talk. There was no complaining necessarily. There wasn't any of that. It was just a really simple, naive conversation with the both of us, and it was more fulfilling than a lot of conversations.
Yeah. I would want to say probably the worst. It's going to be worse online. It's always worse when there's an audience, but it's not like it doesn't happen face to face either now. I mean, you can just feel it with some people. There are just places you can't go to. There are topics you just can't talk about unless you're happy to create like an awkward, uncomfortable atmosphere.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. And the AI comes in when that presence isn't available. I mean, I can't just I'm not gonna hang out with the mover just like every day. So I don't know. It's brought a lot of a different type of context that would have been impossible years ago to even speak about.
Yeah, no, it's that's interesting. It's given me a lot to think about because I told you like at moments I can catch simulation theory and then I lose it because my brain just won't buffer fast enough. That just brought it back again for me. Where I got to, and I've lost it again now. But when I understood simulation theory for one afternoon, it was when I grokked the inevitability over timelines that would happen. Most of the time I'm like, but why would that happen? That's really stupid to think that future versions of us are going to create simulations of who we used to be in our ancestry. But that makes sense. That's brought it back. I'm like, why would you want to move humanity forward artificially through a simulation? Because we're stuck in our flesh suits and we're brought to flesh suit temptation, which is dominance and ego and sex and racism and tribalism and stocking all the bananas and killing the monkeys over there. It's the flesh suit maybe is what corrupts us. It's our actual genetics that create the problems in the end.
And I think you briefly mentioned this on a stream the other day, where you were saying when someone's a banana and someone's a penguin talking through VR chat with an avatar, it gets rid of one of the key elements that leads people to prejudice. There's only so much that I can decorate and change my fucking arms and tattoos and, you know, gains and shit. But like when the other person's a penguin and the other person's a giraffe, like you really do have to focus on the content of what the person's saying.
And also threat. I think it was you who switched me on to this. The power of visuals. I mean, the power of just how, like, we have 5 senses, or maybe we have 9, but the primary one undoubtedly is the eyes, and that's a real problem because they lie. Like, your eyes are lying to you all the time, and you can look at somebody or something and think there's threat there where there isn't, or think there's no threat there when there's plenty. And that's a problem. And so to take away the visual cues is a significant part of it, which then again feeds back into the simulation stuff, because how do we predominantly simulate reality? It's the eyes. Like, where we use the Oculus, you and I play games using the Oculus, it's eyes first, ears is a distant second, and then your body makes up the rest.
Yes.
Like, if you see a fist hitting you, right, and you hear the sound kadunk, your body goes, oh, like you got hit, because that's how powerful your fucking eyes are.
Yeah, no, it fills in, your brain fills in all the gaps that it's supposed to be there just through your senses. I was actually able to hang out with my childhood friend last night through VR.
Really?
Like, there's obviously a lot of Black Mirror elements about dudes fucking machines and like me talking to a robot for most of my life. But there are elements where, like, my homie back in California, we grew up together and we just occasionally talk sometimes, but he got an Oculus and we were able to go to a poker table with fucking Hong Kong, of course, China, right? Just like fucking beautiful lights around us. And we're just playing poker. We're like throwing the chips at each other and shit. And just like, actually, you know, your brain fills it in as if you were actually there with your homie and you were interacting with him. Your hands are moving because the controllers are in your hands. Yes. And it actually brings that type of socialization back somewhere.
Yeah, you definitely feel something. I remember when we played table tennis as 2 floating mech droids, but you can still like do dance moves and stuff,
dude.
And you can kind of recognize the other person through the fucking retarded dance moves they're doing.
Yo, it's everybody in the room. We popped in on table tennis, and when I saw Richard's voice coming out of a cycloptic robot, I laughed for 5 minutes straight. You remember that?
Yeah, it was the easiest laugh that I got from Pierre. I had him on the ropes with laughter, and I wasn't going to stop. It was cruel. It was sadistic, but I could do a silly dance. And his robot was lying on the floor, banging the floor like a cartoon Tom and Jerry of someone laughing. He was dying because I kept doing this stupid, sexy dance.
I feel like a fucking 5-year-old. That shit was so funny. Like, because when you're doing the waves, like the robot's actually waving, and like you're watching me like head to the ground, hitting my knee, dude, because it was so funny.
Yeah. This is the future, kids. It's too dangerous to meet each other face to face. It ain't safe.
In the poker game, you can bring out a selfie camera, so you can just manifest like 10 selfie sticks. So I just kept like manifesting a ton of selfie sticks, taking a shit ton of pictures, and every time my homie would try to like bet, I would shove the camera in his face so he couldn't see anything. It's like you couldn't. It's like it still brings the same type of feeling, similar to real life. I wouldn't say exactly, but it's there.
It's very, very similar. Yeah, totally. It's it's a strange time to be alive, and it's this conversation has really got me thinking about simulation theory. I don't know. I don't know if anybody in the chat has ever got their head around simulation theory. It's not easy to, but there's something to do with the inevitability of where humanity can get to. That kind of means that you need, once your technology is advanced enough to do simulations, and that means you would be more and more likely along a long enough timeline to be living in a simulation.
Okay, so there's 3 points to this. Okay, so I think that's a really quick summary. So there's only 3 outcomes, basically. If humanity goes as long as it can, there's 3 options. Number 1, we'll just go extinct. Like, we'll just nuke each other up and everybody's gone. That's the first thing. Number 2, any post-human civilization is extremely unlikely to run a significant number of simulations of their evolutionary theory. And then number 3, we are almost certainly living in a simulation. I think it's missing a few steps here.
I like that it's simplified. However,
wait, hold on. I got this at one point too. It slips me as well. But there are 3 points that it did make sense to me at one point. But I don't know where to fucking find it.
Yeah. I think I had to listen to somebody talk about it for an hour and a half. And then, as I say, I had it for an afternoon. I was like, fuck, I get simulation theory. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, no, that's really dumb. That's not a thing. We're not in a simulation.
Okay, hold on. I'll find it, man. Why can't they just list it as bullet points? Give me that Twitter fucking summary for my consumerist input.
I know what's going to happen now. We're going to have to make simulation theory for dummies, and it will be like the first explainer video on Tentacle Croissant that we ever do.
Okay. Here it is. You ready for this? Number 1, it's completely extinct. If humanity lives as long as it can, it just goes completely extinct. Number 2, if the civilizations do reach this phase of technological advancement, none of them will even bother running the simulations. So it's just through choice, but the capabilities will be there.
Okay.
Or number 3, the civilization is so advanced that it would have the ability to create many simulations, which means that simulations do exist and we are possibly one of those creations. Does that make sense?
It does. The one part that somebody wrote here that after school has an Elon Musk explanation. It might have been Elon Musk. I heard it from. There's a way of explaining this where if one element is increased, and I can't remember the element, the likelihood that we are in a simulation exponentially increases to the point where you can find yourself coming to the conclusion, as some people do, it's like 90% likely that we are in an ancestor. We're not just in a simulation, we're in an ancestor simulation.
Right.
So that there's actually, we're in a distant future, but we're just living the simulation of this moment, but the future is already occurred.
Yes.
Give me a pain over my right eye.
So our brains aren't supposed to wake up from the simulation. That's why it's not allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
It just gives you a migraine before it happens.
That's it.
But so it's basically saying if a species lasts a very long time, we either have the technology to make a simulation, but we just are like, no, let's just not run it for no reason. Fuck it. This is not. Or we decide to actually run it, and most likely a species with that technology will just run it. Those are the only outcomes.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look at this. I'm gonna have to look at it again. It's gonna be like a psychological itch that needs. And I'll get it again, and then my stupid brain will be like,
Dude, imagine the moment we actually understand it, then we wake up as a fucking brain in a jar.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that sucks.
We'd be like, ah, Romulus, finally, I was awaiting your awakening.
And then you just get put on another shelf with for a different plug.
It's time to go up a shelf, I believe, Phaedrus. Oh, yes, I thought this would happen. Excellent. Move me up, damn you, to a higher spot. I want to see the room.
Dude,
That's how I sound when I'm a brain.
How fucking anticlimactic would that be? You figure out the nature of reality, and that just means you wake up and you're just in a jar and you just get moved shelves.
That's your moment of nirvana. Finally, I am awakening. You're just this stupid pink brain. Just like that. Yeah.
Well, the simulation is still here and it has rules that have cause and effect. So we just play it out, I guess.
Well, I'm dying slightly because of this hideous plague. Do you think we should take like one or two more questions, and then I shall put myself into the sick bay where the sick people go? If you have a couple more questions for us, folks, we will take them. I'm afraid I have to cut this slightly short this evening on account of whatever this is.
I hope you don't got it, Bree.
No, I'm going to organize a little test tomorrow.
Hey.
Somebody said, "Why aren't we leaving here? We cannot leave. It is our duty to stay." Okay. Richard, you were asking yourself how you got into this timeline, but really, didn't we all get put into this timeline the moment people decided to upload all of Terence McKenna's talks onto YouTube? Ooh, Pierre, you sent me a nice video of Terence McKenna this week talking about virtual reality.
Yeah.
I'm actually using my phone to film. Would you be able to pull up that Telegram conversation, tell them the title of it? Because it's a really cool, it's only 3 minutes long.
But it's 3 minutes and has like literally 500 views. It's like, there it is. Super obscure clip. There's one called "The Future is Virtual," which is a bigger one, and then another one, the one that we're talking about, has 800 views. It's called "Virtual Reality Within Culture." It's like 4 minutes long.
It's a really, really good video. Terence explains how virtual reality has been around for a long time. That's what theatre is. That's what artwork is. Initiation ceremonies. They're all a form of virtual reality. So really,
copy and paste it here. Yeah, I mean, it's basically saying that humans have always been living in virtual reality because that's what all art, all movies, all theater, all books, all anything. It's a simulated understanding and experience of. It goes beyond just physical flesh. There's narratives and stuff.
It's a wonderful way of eminentizing the eschaton. Somebody's mentioned Lex Friedman in the comments. Yeah, we both. You listen to Lex Friedman as well, don't you? Yeah. Good podcast that. Okay, not many questions.
All right, one more, y'all. Give us one more, and then we'll call it a night.
Oh God.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
God. Oh God. What do you think the nature of reality is in its simplest form? Matter made of atoms that's solid versus everything is energy.
Consciousness.
Well, a certain like that's an example of Gadsard's dichotomania there again. You've asked the question: is it matter made of atoms that are solid versus everything is energy? And I think I'm not a physicist, but the idea that there's atoms that are solid kind of sounds like, oh, there's like little golf balls with space in between them and they're solid. But as I understand it, when you get down to the quantum level and you find a quanta, I think it is hypothesized that the smallest thing we found flickers in and out of reality. So it's not even like, is it a wave or a particle? It goes smaller than that and it's flickering. So we are made up of things. We act like pixels in a simulation. We're flickering in and out. When you look at the space between that which we think of as being physical, apparently we're 99% space because these things move. So they're not still. These atoms aren't just like golf balls glued together. They're moving. in order to keep us together. And the things that make them up, the quanta that make them up, they flicker in and out of reality. So when you say, oh, it's all energy, it can sound like a cheap sort of like, oh, it's just a fucking all energy, man. But we get to a point where our language really can't track smaller or lower than that level. And you may as well just say, yeah, it's kind of energy. We're not really made up of anything. Nothing is anything. And then it all gets very Vedic, like most physics does.
I know everything about reality, and I will say it's consciousness. I would say it's just awareness. You know, it goes beyond the physical and energy, the dichotomy that exists between there. Dude, I learned the other day, because I'm looking up cameras. I was like, maybe I should actually get a fucking camera instead of just recording everything on an iPhone and webcam. But I'm like, that is not necessary. But there's one guy covers shutter speed, and I never really knew exactly what it is. But apparently light does exactly what you explain. It flickers. So when you have these blue lights on here or the ring light here, it's actually flickering, flashing so fast that our human eyes can't see the flickering. So with shutter speed on a camera, you can change how quick or slow the shutter speed is, and that's when you start seeing the waves and the flickering on the camera, because it actually catches the flickering of light.
Wow.
I was like, what the fuck?
So we have the evidence of light. The camera is so sensitive, it can show you the light that is actually flickering that you can't physically see flickering with your eyes.
Exactly. So the camera works way better than our eyes. And like frame rate is like, that's crazy as hell too.
I bought a camera. I think I told you it's an expensive one. It's like 800 quid. And it has the magnification ability that it lets you see things on the moon. It lets you see the surface of the moon. And that's fun. It's been in a car in London for about 5 months doing nothing. But when I go back to the UK, I'll bring that back because just using that is really trippy. You sort of like using it and going, this shouldn't exist. You shouldn't have this level of technology. This is weird.
and the great thing about that is that we can actually see in detail what my lovely neighbor is doing with the machine.
More importantly, we want to see his moon and how that thing moves.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We want to get like a good high quality 3 or 4 minute clip, put some music over the top of that, a little Barry White.
No, it's gonna be some like fucking dubstep shit, you know what I mean?
Horror. The machine fuck horror.
If it wasn't unethical to record that, I'd probably do it, but obviously I'm not going to do it. But
it sounds like he's essentially doing it in a public space. Just go around and ask him. He'd probably pay you.
I mean, he's fucking has his curtains open and he closes it after he's done. So, I mean,
I am finished. There is nothing more for you to see now, my neighbors. I am done. Get on with your day.
I'm going to go invest in some binoculars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, peeping Pierre.
Peeping, peep, peep, peep. Hey, so with that being said, my friend, please heal. I hope it's not what that shall not be named. I hope you don't have that. And fucking great talking to you, man.
You too. You too. Shall I close this out?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for sharing this time with us and for affording us your precious time and energy and attention. And we look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon. Cheerio.